Good evening. Welcome to the January meeting of the Popular Astronomy Club here at the Butterworth Center, and welcome to those of you viewing online on Zoom. I will remind you, if you're online, to mute your microphone until you're ready to say something on that, to avoid too much background noise during the presentation. Okay, why am I not? There we go. Oh, tonight we're going to start off with some news about the Popular Astronomy Club before we get to the feature presentation, which will come in just a few minutes here. In news items, if you read your local newspaper today, both the Dispatch Argus and the Quad Cities Times had the Skywatch column that we provide to the newspaper. So very good timing for that to be in both newspapers today. Good news. Rusty has been hard at work. The library telescope at the Scott County Library System in Eldridge had a problem. Rusty was able to get the parts and this past week, get it repaired and back into the library where it's available in circulation again. And they had told me when we found out about the problem that it was being used, not so much during the winter, but it has been a very popular item to check out of the library. Another item of good news, Roy Gustafson could not be here, but he's our Astronomical League coordinator. And the Astronomical League has made some extensive revisions to their bylaws. I think we mentioned that at the last meeting. Roy has reviewed the changes that have been made and determined that we should not need to make any changes to our local constitution or bylaws to comply with all the changes they have made at the Astronomical League level. So that's good news. We should be good to go for that. We will be able to hear what the changes are, at least a summary of the changes from Roy, and the club will then at a later date, I don't recall just what that is, in a few months, will be required to have a vote on those changes back to the Astronomical League. Our treasurer, Mike Haney, has been very hard at work and had some good news to report. You know, the income and expenses, this is the income expense sheet for the past calendar year, gives us income for the year 30,615, expenses for the year 3,657. That gives us a net income of 26,957. Very good news. What that does to our balance sheet, it brings our balance sheet right now to 36,579 and some change. You will recall during the year, the major increase that we have had this past year has been much thanks to the bequests and memorial funds that we received, of course, in memory of Terry Dufek. Okay, we have also had a number of public outreach requests. Coming up, we have the Moline Library, and that will be they are willing to accept an indoor presentation of astronomy talks and demonstrations for that, because this is the one that was canceled twice due to bad weather this past fall. So we're going to try that again, but they will be having at least 2 more presentations, which we hope will include observing later in the year. But our first one will be on January 18th. We'll be having 3 more at John Deere Middle School. Kewanee Central School has asked for a program in March or April. We have been asked and reminded that they would like to have us back at the Linowick campground, and that may be expanded a little bit in this coming year. And the Silvis Library is having a big celebration in the summer and asked us to participate with an observing session at that. and the Riverdale schools, along with the River Valley District Library in Port Byron and the Cordova Library, would like to have us back again in this coming summer. Other activities, looking at the calendar, trying to schedule all of these things, I noticed that the nominal date for our PAC picnic would be August 12th, and that just happens to be the astronomical theoretical best date for the Perseid meteor shower. So we may have the schedule just right. Maybe we'll see a few more this year if we can stay out from under the clouds. I also looked at, into next fall, and I would propose a date of October 14th for our annual banquet. Then the middle of the last half of October, actually the founding date of the club, and that looks like that would be the best date to work out for a banquet. I will verify that at a later time, however, depending on facility availability. With that, I think we will move right on to our feature presentation tonight. Our past president, Al Sheidler, is going to tell us all about revitalizing astronomy clubs.
Hold your applause till you've seen it.
Thank you.
I don't want to.
Do you have tomatoes?
Yes.
Things like that. Okay. All right, because yeah, it might not be as good as the applause would indicate. Let's see here.
To go to full screen on yours. Oh, yeah, you're not in slideshow, that's right.
Okay. All right. So thank you for tolerating my presence here this evening. The slideshow I want to show here is Revitalizing Astronomy Club. The date that I have on this is February 18th. And I need to explain that a little bit because actually Carl Wenning in the North Central region of the Astronomical League, he's the chairperson for the North Central region. He asked me to prepare a talk for their banquet that they're going to have on the 18th of February to address this topic. And the basis behind this is the Astronomical League has
No throwing tomatoes.
no throwing tomatoes. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Astronomical League has recognized that the Popular Astronomy Club is one of the most active and very successful clubs in the region, if not in the Astronomical League. Certainly, if you normalized it on the based on the size of our club compared to some of the larger metropolitan areas that have more membership, I would say we're the best. Of course, I'm a little bit biased, but anyway, so what I put together here is this is a draft of the presentation I'm going to show on the 18th. So what I'd like to do, these are my thoughts, and I've also bounced this off of various members in the club already and gotten their feedback on it. But I would like to have everybody kind of give me a critique on it. And if you like it, tell me that. If there's things that need to be changed or added, let me know. But so with that, that's the background behind it. Let me see if I can go into it. So revitalizing astronomy clubs, just a basic outline here. Basically, I want to talk about things to do for the public to improve your club's activity. Also want to talk about things to do for the club itself, the membership of the club itself, to make it more palatable and interesting to club members. And I want to talk a little bit about leadership, challenges. I've got some examples of challenges that we've dealt with. I wanted to talk about that. And then I wanted to give you just a one slide kind of summary of things that we've done for the last 8 years in the club. I kept track of the numbers. Now, our club obviously was started in 1936, and we've probably literally had outreach of hundreds of thousands. Who knows how many actually, when you consider the TV shows we've done, the newspaper articles we've written, and so on and so forth. It's a huge outreach, but that's a basic outline. Some basic things here that I can't see because we've got things here. There we go. Just some initial comments, basically, and I'm not telling you guys anything you don't already know, but the night sky is something that we all share. It's all our common heritage, and we all enjoy it. Proactively bringing the wonders of astronomy to those around you does not require expensive observatories or high-end telescopes. You really don't need to go anywhere special. You can do it anywhere. And you don't really need a big audience either. I mean, you could do it with your family, your friends, your neighborhood, or, Putnam Museum, or any place you have the opportunity. And over-reliance on equipment and apps can detract from the fun and excitement for some people. For some people, that's what they love. And so the main thing I want to say here is don't over-rely on these things too much. They all have a place in our activities. First-time visitors are going to be amazed. And again, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but first-time visitors, when they look at the moon, for example, they'll be flabbergasted with what they see. And also, some folks really are not interested in observing, but they want to learn more about science. And everybody wants to have fun. So whatever kind of trips your trigger, whatever's fun, we can find a use for that in astronomy. So those are initial comments. So things to do for the public to enhance your club for the public. I think this is one of the precepts that the Popular Astronomy Club does well. We bring telescopes to the public, and we have a mobile observatory. We go everywhere. I've listed all the different things that we go to: schools, libraries, scouts, Niabi Zoo, campgrounds, parks, museums, you name it, churches, block parties. I've had people come over to my house when I'm looking at stuff in my front yard, and what are you looking at? And those are opportunities. The other thing I'd say is daytime solar observing is great. You don't need a dark sky to observe. You just have to know what to observe for the time of day that you're talking about. You can also look at planets in the daytime if you can find it. Sometimes it's tough, but and you can look at the moon in the daytime even. The other thing that is really good for the public is, describe the objects that you're observing, how big they are, how far away they are, what the physical parameters are, the temperature, the atmospheric pressure or no atmosphere. Those properties, if you can explain that to people and give them a little background, those are teachable opportunities right there. And the other thing that I would really like to throw out here is don't be afraid of light pollution. We have light pollution almost everywhere anymore. That's almost impossible to avoid. And even if you have completely dark skies, half of the month is going to be light polluted from the moon. So you don't want to give up opportunities to go places, observe, show people things in the sky, just because there might be a street light or light pollution from the moon. These are all great opportunities that you want to take advantage of. And I've got some pictures there that you can see that are some of the observing sessions. We've got a Niabi Zoo there. We've got Eldridge Library. Down here, it's hard to see because it's behind one of the visitors there. But that was at the Putnam Museum. We were solar observing and looking at Venus during the daytime. People were amazed that you could look at planets. And then the one down there is at the bottom is East Moline. Yeah, that's East Moline Library. And that was horribly light polluted. That was the worst. That was about the worst. I mean, you didn't need a flashlight or anything to set up your scope.
But we still saw lots of planets.
We saw all the planets that were visible that night. We looked and the moon was outstanding. Double stars, clusters, some of the clusters were easy to see. And with the go-to scope, you can find the stuff. So anyway, let's see here. Some more things to do when you have an observing session, public session. One of the things that I would recommend is to have a greeter. Now, sometimes when Ann is there, Ann is really good at greeting people and making them feel welcome.
It's fun.
But if you could do that, if you can have somebody that's kind of ebullient and effervescent, that can kind of make people feel welcome, that's really great. The other thing that is good to do is don't just rely on observing. Sometimes it's good to have backups. A lot of times in our observing sessions, it may cloud up and we can't see anything, but we still have all the objects either on our computer or in the camera, and we can still show people what they could have seen. And I got a picture there at the bottom there of Roy doing a presentation, and he was talking about Russians there, I think, in the space program, but that was at one of the libraries. And then there's a picture there on the left with Mitch Milani as the telescope operator in the PAC mode during a daytime session. Oh, one thing I'll point out, and Mitch is wearing a t-shirt. Roy's wearing a t-shirt. These are club t-shirts, and has a club t-shirt also. We have different colors. If you're royal true blue, like most of us, you have a blue shirt. If you're a gold leader, then you have a yellow shirt.
Man gold.
Yeah, leadership gold or whatever.
It's daytime and nighttime.
Yeah. The other thing to do for public is have fun stuff for the kids to do. Coloring or we have somewhere here. I don't know where I have it in the presentation anymore, but we have scales that they can stand on to figure out how much they would weigh on different planets. We have different activities, for the kids to do. And down there on the left, there were looks like they were drawing constellations. And in the summertime, especially, this is good to do because in the summertime, it doesn't get dark till 10 o'clock. And sometimes the smaller kids, they're ready to go to bed before you can actually do much observing. So this gives them an outlet there to do some things. The other thing I'll point out here is this is on the upper right there. That was a joint session that we did with Moline Public Library out at Niabi Zoo. I think that was 2017 for the eclipse. We were trying to get ready for the eclipse. And hit down here on the lower right, you can see everybody's wearing their club t-shirts. I think there might have been some Cub Scouts there that had blue shirts on too, so it's a little confusing, but the other thing that you can do for the public is have goals in mind, have specific topics, for the group, orient your meeting to the needs of the audience, know your audience, know their interests. If they're scouts, for example, maybe they're working on a merit badge. And there's astronomy merit badges out there. Those are great opportunities to do that. You want to have lists of objects to observe, maybe even provide something that people can take home with them and work on later. And gear the sessions, if possible, to special events like eclipses, transits, occultations, comets, International Space Station. You know, everybody's always flabbergasted when they see this really bright object flying overhead and they wonder, what's that? You know, well, that's the International Space Station, 250 miles up. And there's people living there all the time. And it's amazing to think about it. Even for people like us that know about this stuff, it's still amazing when you think about it. But anyway, I threw some pictures in there. You can see Jupiter there with a transit. Actually, Steve, I think that was taken through your telescope. Actually, the clarity was so excellent, it had to be good optics. That's Comet Neowise, which was a big thing. When was that? 2020, I think it was. Comet Neowise was really nice.
Yeah.
And down here in the lower right, that's the Mars occultation that we just had. And I don't know, just for grins and giggles, I threw this picture on the left there just to show to you how amazing the moon surface can be magnified through a telescope. Some more things that I would say for the public: have a club website. You know, you got to have information about your club meetings, your observing sessions, and you got to keep it up to date. And I know, Dino, you do a good job with that. You keep right on it all the time. And the other thing, I know a lot of people are against it, but you need to use social media. I cannot stress this enough. It's a must. You got to, at least Facebook, you got to use Facebook, because that's what people normally look at social media wise. It's a great outlet for astrophotography. You know, we have a number of really good photographers. Rusty, you're a good one. Byron has really done some outstanding work. Those things really are great when you put them on Facebook. People are attracted. Wow, can we see that galaxy? You know, that brings people out. So it's a great way to promote the club, and it's a great outlet for club members to show their work. Another thing I'll mention is accept donations. Let people know that you would appreciate a donation. We don't charge. PAC doesn't charge for events, but if you tell people that we would accept a donation, more often than not, you'll get one. And that's good. We need the financial support, although our recent numbers have shown that we're in financially good shape. You still need a steady stream of income, and this is one way to do it, because it does cost to haul the PACMO out to remote sites, and club members need to devote quite a bit of time and energy to that as well. What we do for the community adds value, and when you say donations are accepted, that just stresses the point that you know, maybe what you do have is worth paying for. Some more things to do. We've already talked about it, but newspaper column. We have the QC Skywatch articles that we put out every month. I think I've been told by a lot of people that know me, they see the articles and they always comment on that. Well, your club's out there again, you know, with an article. That's a great way to get out there and get noticed. And it's an opportunity, you know, to get some free advertising. And the newspaper loves it. You know, where else can they get free science writing, you know, from a local group that's meaningful and talks about things that people can actually interact with at observing sessions or even on their own. So the newspaper loves it. It's free for them. They might edit it a little bit, but and Paul has done a fantastic job with the editing of those. I know you edit mine heavily sometimes, and I appreciate it because it's better. Anyway, it's a great way to promote our club and educate the public. We've had opportunities to get on TV. Frank Frank and I were on TV there on the lower left, and Roy was on TV. Terry Dufek there was interviewed at the Moline Public Library in 2017 for the eclipse. And don't be afraid to get on TV. They want you to look good. Actually, if you're interviewed on TV, they don't want you to look bad. They want you to look good. So they're not going to try to embarrass you. So it's actually fun. You should try it sometime. It's fun. Now, things to do for the club. The main theme I want to throw out here is keep it fun. You know, this is a club. This is a hobby. It's not a job. You know, sometimes it can be a little work depending on what you're doing. But always remember, it's a hobby. It's fun. You can tinker. You can look at stuff. You can interact with people. And on the aspect of social events, picnics, grilling sessions, and observing sessions, we do a lot of that. We have done a lot of in the Popular Astronomy Club. And the other thing, this is not something maybe that's targeted for our club necessarily, because we've been doing this for years now, but we have a monthly club meeting and or picnics, and we also have the banquet once a year. So every month we're meeting pretty much per schedule, and we use Zoom and provide opportunities for our club members to give talks, show off their observations, and in general, we're giving members a reason to attend, other than specifically just observing or going to an observatory. So that's good. The other thing that I would really like to suggest here too is to leverage the Astronomical League. The Astronomical League has a lot of programs. I'm gonna talk a little more about that in a minute. But they have observing programs that we can tap into both at the Astronomical League level and at the North Central Regional level with the seasonal Messier observing. Well, here's a fun picture. This is the PAC picnic, one of the recent ones. I don't remember which one precisely this was. It shows a festive group. This one here, this one down here is kind of neat. You can see Alex right there, Alex Holt, and you can see Alex Holt right there too. Now, how did he do that? He's faster than the speed of light or something. He got in the picture twice.
He's entangled.
Yeah, he's entangled. Yeah, that's his double. Anyway. The other thing that I would suggest, have a club newsletter. This is a historical document. It's a great way for club members to get their information, their writings published, as well as their astrophotography. People love seeing their stuff in print. And it's an opportunity for newsletter editors. I mean, we're blessed to have Paul be our newsletter editor, but we've had quite a number of newsletter editors over the years. It's an opportunity for somebody to take up a challenge and improve their skills. Another point that I'll throw out, this is not targeted necessarily for our club because we are a 501c3 nonprofit, but that is a necessity, almost a necessity, I'd say, if you're going to go out and solicit grants. It's good to have that bit of credibility behind your club. And there's a picture of the Reflections newsletter that is published. It's monthly. Used to be quarterly, now it's monthly. And we have enough material to fill every month, I think.
Keep it coming.
Yep. So that's a good request from Paul. Paul wants articles. He wants astrophotography, pictures, anything. Things to do. We have equipment. for club members to use. We have lots of equipment, actually. We were just going through the list. I'm not going to text my memory right now, all the different things we have. But we do have binoculars, we have a Dobsonian, we've got a couple of different LX200 telescopes. We've got smaller scopes, got larger scopes. And we'll provide training, so you don't need a telescope. If you want to use a telescope, let me know, let Dale know, let one of the board members know. We'll rustle off the telescope for you. And if you don't know how to use it, no problem. We'll give you training. If you want to come to public observing sessions and you don't have a telescope, no problem. We'll give you one. You don't even have to take it home with you. I'll haul it out. I've got a pickup truck. I'll haul it out for you and let you use it. That's a good way to learn how to use a telescope. Learn by doing. There's a couple of pictures here. The one you can't see because here in the room, maybe you can see it at home there. But the one LX200 in the upper right here, that's a 7-inch Maxitov Cassegrain. And then the one in the lower right down here, that's a 10-inch Schmidt Cassegrain, which is that was one that was just donated. Actually, those two scopes were donated to the club. They didn't cost us anything. They had to be repaired. They weren't working, but we got them fixed. So for just a couple $100, we've been able to fix up some telescopes for club members to use. Astronomical League. We really want to leverage the Astronomical League. Where everybody in here that's a member of Popular Astronomy Club is also a member of the Astronomical League, which the Astronomical League has about 21,000, I think is the latest number of members worldwide. This is really a big organization. They have lots of observing awards, whatever kind of object you want to observe, Messier objects, double stars, globular clusters, open clusters, galaxies, you name it, planetary nebulae. They have a program that you can go observe a list of about 100 objects typically. And you can even use go-to telescopes now for most of these, I think. So there was a long time there when you had to find things the hard way, but now they've recognized most people don't do that anymore, and they've opened it up. So I would encourage people to do that. It's fun. You learn about carbon stars, for example, or other things that way. And then there's outreach awards. I think in our club we have maybe 40 or 50 recipients of the outreach awards. And I think there's more coming, possibly, hopefully. There are also higher level awards. The one I mentioned here is the Mabel Stearns Award, which Terry Dufek was a recipient of that. And that's pretty amazing when you think, and that's for his work as a newsletter editor. That's really a coveted award in the astronomy community. When you consider that there's 21,000 people in this organization, and one of our own received the Mabel Stearns Award, that's really, that says a lot right there. The Library Telescope Program, Astronomical League has telescopes that they will work with clubs to provide to local libraries. And you can see here on the lower right, this is the library telescope that we have that Rusty fixed at Eldridge Library. And one of the things that I'd like to point out is scholarships. There are scholarship dollars, significant dollars available in the Astronomical League for students who are going into I don't know if it's necessarily astronomy, but technology related things. And they're called Horkheimer Youth Awards. And we actually, one of our members received that award in 2016. That's Katie Melbourne there. That was in Washington, D.C. she received one of the youth service awards. And she used that cash award to fund part of her expenses going to, what is it, Yale? I think it was Yale.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yale University. And then there are many grants from the NACRL organization. So the Astronomical League has a lot of great programs. They also have conventions. Of course, we have our own North Central region of the Astronomical League convention every year. There's also other ones like Mid-States region of the Astronomical League, and there's others as well. So you could kind of travel around the country and visit different ones if you wanted to. And then, of course, ALCON, which is the Astronomical League convention. That's typically an outstanding, convention. The one in Washington was really good. I've been to a couple of them now. Went to the one in Minneapolis. That was really good too. This year, the ALCON is in Baton Rouge. And first thing, Sarah and I are thinking about going. So why not? Things to do as a club, get members involved, with projects. Things like rebuilding a telescope, working with a library to get a library telescope. Now, the North Central Region Astronomical League Convention, we did the one in 2019. That was a huge amount of work. I'm not going to necessarily recommend you run out and try and do that again because it's a lot of work. But it's a great way to bring the club together, or it's a great way to make everybody fight and, run off too. So I don't know. You got to kind of judge that one. But basic things, like cleaning, maintaining, rebuilding observatories, having picnics and observing sessions kind of coordinated with that are all good things. Astronomy Day, we haven't done one here recently, but that's something that can be done too. It's kind of a lower key, kind of a less less involved than a convention would be, but still fun nevertheless. Organization to keep your club growing. If you're not organized, you need to get organized. You need to have president, vice president, secretary, Alcor, which is Roy is our Alcor. That's Astronomical League correspondent or coordinator. I don't know. Correspondent. Astronomical League correspondent. So he communicates back and two-way, kind of a two-way communication with the Astronomical League, what we're doing, what they're doing. And need those basic ones. And then I'm listing a bunch of them here. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but observatory director. If you have an observatory, you definitely need a director. You need somebody keeping people observing, a director for that, newsletter editor, website manager, program coordinator to get speakers and promote the club. You need a Facebook, social media contact person, somebody that manages that. Club historian, especially with a club like ours that is pushing 90 years old. There's a lot of history there. Greeters, I keep looking at, and principal officer. That's somebody that the IRS uses. There's more things here. I don't want to overwhelm you with these things, but there's a lot of little things that occur in an active club. And if you have people that are enthusiastic and willing to share the load here, it's light work. If it's all falling on the shoulders of one or two people in the club, it's a lot of effort, but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be.
Your list, I think, stood because it also gives people an idea to what they recognize and what
Yeah.
can I do. I was just I'm looking at that for myself right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if we got a volunteer, hey, that's great. We need volunteers to help out with these things. Yeah,
Exactly, does an observatory, what was it? Observing
Observing director.
well, an observing director, it's pretty much kind of what you want it to be, but, I've tried to kind of fill that role a little bit. I think I'm kind of semi-officially observing director, right?
You are, when Al was president, he came out with our list of objects to observe at any of our public and our observatory sessions. And I know that as the president now, I would not have the time or even the knowledge to come up with extensive lists like that. So I asked Al to continue doing that, and to make it a little more permanent, we made that a position, at least an ad hoc position to help us direct our observing, rather than going out randomly looking to see what's up there. We have somewhat of a goal of objects to look, as you referenced earlier, have some goals when you go to an observing session.
Well, some of the observing sessions too, like some of the ones at Niabi or at Alignment. Sometimes, you know, you might have 100 people or 200 people there. And you might have 8 or 10 or 12 telescopes set up. Well, you shouldn't all be looking at Jupiter. There's many objects out there, and to coordinate that a little bit, you know, just provide suggestions. It's I've automated that job, so it's not that difficult for me to do it. But you know, Frank, if you want to volunteer,
I just was curious.
I heard a volunteer. The other thing that I'd like to really acknowledge here too, this is an admonishment, you know, maybe to other organizations to get teachers involved. We've done that. We have teachers involved in our club, which is really good. You know, you got a picture down here. This is at John Deere Middle School on the lower right. That's Chad Potter there. He's the teacher. And he went out and bought a bunch of telescopes, actually. So we don't even have to bring any equipment there. All we have to do is set it up and operate it and talk about, you know, here's what we're going to look at. And it's great. You know, we don't even have to bring the PAC out or do anything. He's got an 11-inch there. He's got a 9¼ inch telescope. He's got a big 10-inch Dobsonian. You know, teachers are great. You can get them enthused about advancing their curriculum, their science curriculum. The other thing I'd say is really need to get women involved. And you know, women are great. They're great organizers. And I'm not trying to be chauvinistic here or anything. I'm just acknowledging reality. Women are better at Facebook and they really create, you know, a great atmosphere for kids. And they're great organizers for picnics and banquets and things like that. So you know, and I think that's a great success that we have in PAC too. It's a real advantage. Collaboration with others. There's probably more bullet items here than I need to really talk about, but basically get together with neighboring clubs. We typically try to do several field trips every year to neighboring clubs. There's a picture here of that's Fireball Observatory in Freeport, and Bob Dole was, or not Bob Dole, was it Jim Dole was here. When was it? In November?
November, yeah.
November, gave a talk. He's in that picture there someplace. And the Whitty Observatory is over here. That's down by Burlington. That's great. It's great to get out there and rub shoulders with people outside of your club. And if you know, you need to use Zoom and promote your Zoom sessions to coordinate with other clubs, and they'll do likewise for you as well. So you can attend their meetings as well. Another thing that I would say is attend a star party. And there are some good star parties not too far from us here. I'll talk about that in a minute. And club meetings, I suggest having club meetings monthly. That's what we do. And invite, speakers to come in, talk in person or using Zoom. I mean, if you're using Zoom, we had a presentation from Hawaii at one of our talks. We've had them from all over the country. There's really no limit. We could have a Zoom session from the International Space Station if we wanted to. I don't know if we can convince anybody to do it. But that'd be really cool, Dale.
Hey, another one put on my list.
And the other thing I'd say is regional convention. It's a tremendous amount of effort, but it's a great way to connect with others. I'm not going to recommend you do that unless you really want to, but you should attend the regional conventions. Maybe that's my number one suggestion. So attend the conventions, get to know your region.
Yeah,
Yeah,
before you go on, did you say you're gonna send this to the league or you're gonna present this?
I'm going to present this.
Well, that last slide, you might want to break up into 2 slides, because I can't read that fine.
There's a lot of things going on.
I can do
I
that.
can't really see it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Maybe a little larger.
Maybe I could just take some of those things off too.
Maybe I will do that.
Yeah, okay, good point. As far as collaborating with others, I wanted to put this out here for star parties. There's a number of star parties. I think there's like 100 star parties in the country every year. So pick your poison. Where do you want to go? You want to go to Florida? You want to go to Texas? There's a Texas star party, Nebraska star party, bootleg star party. But we have the Eastern Iowa Star Party here, which we have QCAS to thank for that. They do a great job organizing that. And you don't have to travel very far for that one. I would recommend everybody go out. And now you're going to see the higher end stuff, not the simple stuff like we typically bring out to Niabi Zoo. I shouldn't say simple, but you're going to see the higher end observers, people that are really using technology. Partner with organizations like public libraries. They're fantastic. Museums, schools, universities, planetariums, neighboring clubs. And I threw in a few pictures there just to show things that we do. There's our scales down here that are calibrated for different planets. This was over at Putnam Museum. Dino set up his meteorite display, which is really good.
I'm glad that you're showing some children.
Yeah,
Because that's one of the things we've done is provide opportunities for different ages of people in our club.
right.
And I don't know if you mentioned the smorgasbords. I can't remember if you've already mentioned that. But that's one thing you were able to incorporate younger people into that.
Yeah, I should probably put smorgasbord. I don't think I mentioned smorgasbord by name, but I can put that in here too. See, I like Alex. He loves doing stuff, it's he's making a comet there, right there. And you can see on the left there, that's what the comet looks like after it's actually a frozen ice ball made with dry ice. And it's really fun. You don't want to just let kids do it without some supervision. But Alex is one of the good guys in our club. He knows how to operate the PAC-Mo. He knows how to operate any of our telescopes. He knows how to make comets, and you can almost not even worry about it. I mean, he's to the point where he can do it on his own. You have to watch a little bit, but he's really come a long ways. And then the other thing is recognition, awards. People want to be congratulated, and they want to feel appreciated for what they do. And we have lots and lots of awards. You look at the Astronomical League, all those awards that can be handed out, and they don't cost us anything. there's, Byron got the, Member of the Year award, a couple of years ago, and got the Carl, Gamble Memorial Award, that's the top award that our club can bestow on anybody. So, you're one of the fantastic people in the club, Andrew. And Terry got that. There's his Mabel Stearns Award, which is one of the top awards you can get, from the Astronomical League. So we're an award-winning club. I don't know, we're award-winning. Did I forget anything there? Yes, I hit the button before I wanted to. Door prizes, banquet, door prizes, food. Astronomers love to eat. Challenges. Okay. When the pandemic hit, everybody fell into the doldrums, but our club pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, and we overcame adversity. We figured out how to use video equipment for observing sessions. Got a couple of pictures there showing, using the TV screen to project images. That enabled groups. You can see these Girl Scouts there that were looking at stuff on the screen. They could, I guess you can't see the screen because that's oh yeah, the screen's right there. You're squinting to see what's on the screen, but that's not the point. But anyway, essentially, we were able to improve our capabilities with the pandemic. And we learned how to use Zoom. And that was a real challenge. I think it still is a challenge. It's clunky. Zoom is pretty clunky. That's all I can say. But if you can use Zoom, that really improves your ability to do things. And 2020, we totally tore down our observatory and rebuilt it and put a new telescope in there. And that was a big job, but it only took maybe 2 months. It didn't. I think we started in May and we finished it in August.
It was early August we finished it.
Yeah.
And, we had some preliminary stuff to do, arranging, refinishing the dome and all that kind of thing ahead of time, but the actual work was about 2 months.
And so we really enhanced. Our club is stronger because of the pandemic than it was, and our membership has grown. I think people got frustrated with being locked down and that, and wanted to come out. And so we provided, capabilities and enhanced membership. So what can I say? Bad things can be turned into good things. Challenges. These are some points of advice. I don't want to criticize anybody, but this is just what I've learned myself. Leaders need to make personal contact with folks if they really want to get involved. Have a specific task in mind. Ask that person one-on-one. It's hard for somebody to say no when you ask them face to face. They'll do it. And blanket emails typically don't work. If you send out a big blanket email to the whole club asking for help, you might get 1 or 2 people volunteer. But if you really want a big group, you got to communicate directly. And if you have problems, deal with those problems quickly and effectively. Don't let things fester. Clubs, I don't care how good your club is, there's going to be issues that crop up, whether it's mechanical, personal, whatever. There's going to be things that happen. You have to address those and get them taken care of. The main thing is to create an atmosphere of fun, friendliness, and camaraderie. I like that word. Attracting new members, have broad appeal of activities. Astronomy is more than just imaging. I know everybody wants to take pretty pictures and that, but it's more than that. Some folks just want to be entertained. They just want to come to club meetings and not do anything, but be entertained, and that's okay. And the other thing to recognize is you don't necessarily need a PhD, to be an astronomer. we're all astronomers. And all abilities, levels of knowledge and disciplines are welcome and needed to build a strong club. You know, maintain a friendly family atmosphere, offer opportunities for growth and learning, recognition, and fun. That's the main thing. And now with this, I'm going to give you a quick summary here. This is the PAC outreach numbers since I've kept track of it. Each bar graph represents the number of visitors that we had to events, whether it was at Niabi Zoo, libraries, schools, whatever. They're all lumped together. 2014, we had over 2,000. And you can see as things ramped up to 2016, we had almost 4,000 guests. That was a busy year. And the reason for that was the solar eclipse, I think. In 2017, you can see 2017 was a pretty good year too, but then it was kind of a letdown. The eclipse mania kind of faded and we were down to 2,000. But you can see here, if you look at our average over that period of time there, we had, you know, 2,000 or 3,000 people every year. And then in 2020, the balloon burst and COVID-19 got rid of our outreach. And I think there might have been a couple of people that showed up at Wayland's and Ann's house. There's a little bit right there for that.
The unfortunate thing about 2020 is that the COVID cutbacks from Illinois and all around hit the week before our first Niabi program. So it hit us right as we were getting started.
Yeah. Let me see here. I want to move this out of the way, but how do you do it? Can you move that? Get these out of the way there. Yeah.
Stuff with the top.
Yeah, there we go. No, that's fine. And then so 2020 was a bad year for public outreach, but that was a good year for the club. I would still say 2020 was one of the best years we've had as a club because we had so many parties, so many grilling sessions, so many observing sessions. We didn't have to do any public sessions. So to satisfy our addiction, you know, to astronomy, we just had every weekend or every week a couple of observing sessions as a minimum, and we rebuilt the observatory. So that was a good year actually. Now you can see things are starting to come back again, and we're almost back to normal. And I predict 2023 is going to be a huge year. And the reason I say that, probably a couple of reasons: your fantastic leadership. And also, there's an eclipse coming up in 2024, so that's probably going to drive another big spurt.
The weather really hurt us in 2022.
Yeah, the weather hurt us here. We would have had 2,000 or more here, I'm sure. Yes, you're
Yes,
right.
we had I think 9 public programs, including 4 of our Niabi sessions canceled for weather in 2022. So if you figure 50 to 100 and a lot of those at each of the canceled ones, yeah, we would have been well over 2,000.
But in this what is it, 8-year period of time, we had close to 20,000 visitors and 285 public events, and we had at least that many private club events, probably more club events than that. So I mean, you talk about an active club, we're extremely active. Nobody can say that we're slouches as far as activity is concerned. And I wanted to end with this. Where did I get that?
Me.
Ava sent me that. Is that okay to put that in there?
Yeah, I got it on Facebook right there. I forget where I got it.
Keep looking up, although it looks like it's snow coming down, but that could be stars.
Yeah.
So I heard a couple of good suggestions. I'll go through and tidy up my rough draft a little bit.
So are you do with your presentation, you're ready for critique?
Yes,
50 minutes,
yeah, it was a little bit longer.
just so
than I
you know. That
Yeah.
time it went. And I'm not sure who your audience is gonna be, but do you want to emphasize the importance of having the observing, like our NIAB on a regular schedule? Because we could publish it, people know that the
Yeah.
third,
Good point.
rather than just, oh, next week we're gonna have a session.
Yeah,
Get it out there, so it's known. Should they have an idea of rates they charge people for observing, so they don't just say, we'll take whatever you give me? Because don't we kind of think of, okay, 200 if we do this and 100 if we do that?
What we do right now, when we have libraries and other organizations, sometimes they will ask, and I'd actually started just letting them know the range of what other organizations have contributed for that. And I make the point that it costs a bit to drive a PACMO out there, so
Sure.
if you're a long ways.
I'm just
from
thinking
Quad
they should
Cities,
think-
a little more would help.
Rather than saying, we'll take whatever you give me. You know?
yeah, sometimes you can suggest an amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something to think about for a club.
We,
when they
you
do
know,
that.
we used to actually charge. This is
Okay.
years ago, we actually used to charge, and I think that prevented a lot of opportunities. And I think if you don't charge, but you accept donations.
But I'm saying in the back of your mind, have an idea of what you
You should have an idea,
to
yeah.
get from somebody.
If somebody asks you, what's a reasonable
Right,
amount?
you're not just slumbering around. Okay, just I thought
That's
that's
a
something
good point.
to
Are
relate.
you allowed to, if you're a 501c3, I mean, are you allowed to just set a price, or you're just allowed to suggest donations?
It's true.
You know,
We
you're
can
not allowed
suggest
to-
donations without any problems.
Yeah.
We can also pick up donations without problems as well, but we can suggest whatever we want. Yeah, whatever they're willing to pay.
And I'm not saying a list of prices, but at least if somebody asks you, you
Right.
know ahead of
No, I
time.
understand, like,
Yes.
what, give them a range, but.
What you
Yeah.
want.
They
Yeah.
suggest
And,
maybe
We're not restricted.
And we have a
501c.
donation bin
Right.
too in the PACMO.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised, sometimes that brings in a lot
Sure.
of money.
Oh, yes, I know.
We had one night, that it was a horrible night, it was cloudy, and, but we had the PACMO out there and we were showing all these pictures, video equipment stuff, of things we could have been seeing. And there was maybe, 4 or 5 people there, because they knew it was gonna be a bus. But they enjoyed themselves so much because they were walking around looking at stuff. There was $100 bill in that
Wow.
donation bin.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm just thinking you should let them think about it.
Yeah.
The Zoom, at the end, you did talk about you can have people from Hawaii. I think you should hit that harder every time you talk Zoom, so you're able to attract a worldwide
Yeah,
speaker. And then do you need to tell these clubs, okay, now if you're gonna get somebody from Hawaii, expect an honorarium.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
Expect
point.
You have to pay
Yeah.
them,
yeah, honorariums, you should
Yeah.
at least offer an honorarium.
because some folks may not know that they should do that.
Well, a lot of them, like your NASA people, they don't charge. They won't accept an honorarium.
Yeah, so some of them will not accept it, but remember, I guess it must have been at the December meeting. Did I mention that, or somewhere I mentioned that we plan to pay or offer honorariums
Yeah.
for almost
I'm
all of
thinking
our
talking points.
external
Yep,
shows.
Yep.
Sorry, Al, not for the internal. features,
I
but-
mean, I don't get an honorarium.
Oh, well, I had to wait till you're done to tell you.
We'll pay your travel, we'll pay you mileage.
Yeah.
Okay. It's pretty expensive.
You haven't moved yet.
Talk to the library.
Some individuals are not allowed.
Yeah,
And that's why.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking some folks may not understand how that all.
Will not accept an honor.
Yeah, they're government.
Sure, they will not.
that's a
But-
good point. I need to put something in
Yeah,
about
if they're
that.
getting this high-power speaker, offer them something. But
I am gonna get an honorarium for this at TCAA. They've offered that.
Cause you want a local there.
Well, it's, how far is it? We've been down there. It's,
It was what, 130 miles, something like
yeah,
that.
it's a good 2-hour drive down.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go out to their observatory, it's another hour.
and what
Yeah,
does the
that was
club get,
quite a ways.
what does the club get off that? Is it 50%? Yeah, he's using our resources there. What the heck? I could have been home watching TV.
Yeah, see, we should be getting a consulting fee for that.
Yes. When you do the one-on-one thing to get
Yeah.
things done. When you're in a membership organization, to me, I think if you have some need, I think you want to do a mass mailing.
Mhm.
So that everybody knows,
Yep,
but you can tell them, expect to follow it up with a one-on-one of who you want to do it. But I
okay,
don't think you want to not tell everybody you're looking for a,
yeah, right, you wanna
Some-
invite, everybody,
right,
unless there's a specific, I would say. That may not be 100% true either,
not, but I mean,
but
in general.
yeah, in general, I'd say, I invite.
You sort of indicated, don't worry about the mass mailings, just go get something.
No, you need to do the math, you need to do the math. But don't expect to get a lot of volunteers. That's,
I just didn't get that from how you
yeah,
presented it.
okay, yeah, I need to do
And,
that.
Okay,
The club members also want to know what's going on.
yes.
They want to know about.
And you give them the opportunity,
Anything for sale, anything along those lines, everybody wants to know, so.
Mhm.
it's good to inform
you don't want them
everybody.
to say the president always goes to his buddies to get things done.
In general,
Doesn't-
you can,
You still need to tell everyone.
yeah, make sure everyone knows, because every once in a while, you will get somebody show up who you did not think was going to come. But well, as we know, I've mentioned this with the library coming up here after we had canceled it for rain or snow, I think it was. And in the meantime, behind the scenes, I contacted Dino. He's going to bring meteorites, and we're going to have a program on that house. Going to be there with some technical
Yeah.
talks too.
If
So we
there's
have
if
it
there's a
covered,
specific thing.
but
that
you can
want,
also
you need to
have
contact.
additional things show up that maybe you didn't even think of, and that works great.
One more and I'll shut up. On your, I think your first things to do slide.
Come back and, okay, one more. Okay.
That's the first one.
This one,
I'll keep going back.
initial comments,
Oh, no, it's, the heading was things to do
okay,
Yeah, there's,
and it had leverage at the bottom of the slide.
leverage the astronomical league.
yeah,
No, before, oh yeah, LEAV,
I misspell
yeah,
Oh.
LEV.
it, LEV, yeah, okay, all right.
Okay.
So
In
you,
other words, have the club members participate in the AL programs.
yeah, the observing programs are. I think the observing programs are fantastic. And I don't see people really taking advantage of those very much, even in our own club. The only ones that we've really taken advantage of. There's a few people that have. Ken Boquist has taken excessive advantage of observing programs. He's a master observer. And you can actually get to a level where you qualify as a master observer, and you've done virtually all the observing programs the Astronomical League has, and that's a very coveted award to get. There's very few people who get that. He's the only one that I know of in our club that has done it.
We used to have a member that was a master.
Who is that?
I can't remember his name now.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name now.
Now, but all I know, he never came to meetings.
Yeah, he might have been a member. He was a member in name only, maybe. He never did anything.
He got his master observer.
Yeah, there are master observers out there. Carl Winning's a master observer. I don't know that, I'd like to be a master observer, but I just don't think I'll ever get that far. That takes a dedication, of being out there a lot, and you got to record your observations, and you got to send in documentation, and, get the awards.
Well, you had dedication,
Yeah.
in other ways.
So could I make a request of you?
Well, sure.
This is my one-on-one request. Could you write up just a couple of those bullet points and send them to me?
Oh, okay, sure.
So I
If I can do my writing, I'll do that.
didn't write them down. I'll probably
Sure.
forget some of them.
Yep,
You haven't memorized it?
you're gonna pick that up.
I can fix that right here.
That's what I thought.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one I had noted here, you're talking about giving information when you're observing about objects. One of the things to do that I found people are interested in. If you're looking at planets, give them a comparison with the Earth.
Oh,
How
yeah,
many times your size is
Oh,
Jupiter? Those kind of things.
Yes.
That really goes over better than saying how many miles
Yep.
it is in diameter.
Well,
The same thing with stars. How many times the size of our sun is Betelgeuse?
yeah,
Those kind of things. And particularly, I know you, Jim, I've heard it several times, the fact that a star such as that, if it were in place of the sun, we'd be inside.
yeah.
So, those kind of things are impressive when you talk to people. So
The one,
those kind of statistics are the ones you need to have available for the public talks.
the one I like to do is, when we're looking at the moon, I like to ask people, how big is the moon? People don't know
Yeah.
how big the moon is. And if you tell them, well, it's a little over 2,000 miles in diameter, it still doesn't really strike home. But if you say if the moon came right down on top of us here, right here, it would extend out to New York City.
Yeah.
And all the way out to Las Vegas.
Mhm.
So it's about the size of the United States.
Yeah.
So when you're looking up at the moon in the sky, picture the United States up there. That's what you're seeing, it's something
I
that
think
big.
the scales too, those kids at the, that was something they could really. There was usually like each group, there was maybe 2 or 3 that really knew what was going on, and I go, okay, who could tell me why it's different? And then they all got interested when somebody in the group was smart enough to know about the gravitational pull and all these different
Yeah.
things, and those kids really got into those scales.
And then when you talk about these craters, well, like right there, there's a moonquake fault, not an earthquake fault. It's a moonquake fault right there. See that? That vertical line right there. It's called the straight wall. You only, and that's 110 kilometers long. Or what would that be? 70 miles long.
Yeah.
Roughly. And that little crater right there. If that fell on the Quad Cities, it would pretty much destroy the whole metropolitan area. Anyway,
Very curious, raised.
Al.
yeah,
I've given a number of talks at scientific meetings, while I was still employed. And there was a rule of thumb which I found to be very useful as far as the size of text and the amount of text on a slide. And that is, how much text can you type onto a 3x5 index card in 10 or 12 point type, and don't put any more, scale that up, scale the size of the text up to that size, and don't put anything more on the slide than you can put on a 3x5 index card and read it at arm's length, because there are going to be people in the audience that are that damn far from the screen.
good point. So I'm going to go through this. I'm getting some really good feedback from folks, and that's what I wanted. You're not going to make me mad because you're criticizing my slideshow. I knew that there was going to be some revisions here, so.
Well, and now I might be able to tell, like, saying the words and
Yeah.
the sentence, or what you have up there.
Some of these have too much. I can, some of these I can probably just get rid of too. I can talk to the things. To me, I put, these are notes out there that I glance at them and I see, yeah, I want to comment.
Well, you could, for instance, the regular club meetings, you keep all that.
Yeah,
Just make it one slide for that.
yep,
And then the stuff above will be a different slide, stuff below will be a different slide.
Yeah,
Put it all
maybe just
in
add more slides.
Well, I'm guessing you're gonna let your audience take this as a takeaway, right?
yeah.
So you're gonna want all that detail on there somewhere, because you're educating them on the details.
Well, what
You're not
I'll
just
do.
Covering bullet points.
What I'll do here is I'll break it up. I'll add a couple more slides in there to make it a little more readable. And there might be some text I can delete too. Some of the things I said more than once, I can maybe clean that up a little bit too. And I want to take everybody's comments there too, especially yours, Mike, since you took the effort to write them down, and you're gonna email them to me. I want to put those in there. Those are good suggestions
I
too.
have just a couple others that I will get to you.
Okay,
It's, not real technical thing or significant enough. I mean, mentioned some things on there that may be more appropriate in other ways, so
okay,
I'll get that to you
all right.
independently.
But this is our opportunity as a club. This isn't necessarily my presentation. I'm going to deliver it, but this, what I'm hoping, that I'm saying here is this is our club's secret to success.
Mhm.
This is our formula for success. And we're highly successful. I don't know if you realize how we're award winning, and I mean that earnestly. We are an award winning club, and we're very admired, I'd say, in the organization.
Every time I go to the library that I go to, they remember that I was there and they say how much they appreciate the Popular Astronomy Club coming out, that they're the only one that will help them do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to that library probably twice a week, and usually when they run the books out to me, they chit chat with me.
Oh, my wife and I were with dinner with some friends here. Just between Christmas and New Year's, and one of the librarians from Bowling was there. He said, you're gonna be there on the 18th, aren't you? I said, okay, yes, I am. So
Yeah. I
they
even ran into
appreciate it
people,
tremendous. We hear
well,
about it.
I ran into people too that were at the library out in Eldridge, because I know a couple people that were out there, and they say, I keep watching the Facebook page because they were all wanting to come to the zoo and they got canceled.
Yeah,
And I said, just keep watching, we'll be there next year. But, we had a lot of people that were really interested in stuff. I really felt bad this summer that we got whacked so many times.
We are actually working on that with the zoo. I've been in communication with the zoo director. And he has said he feels it's a good idea to allow a rain date the Sunday after a canceled date. We won't announce that until one of our regular third Saturdays gets canceled, but he is willing to offer the zoo parking lot for the next Saturday rain date for most months, unless there's something specific at the zoo that had been pre-planned for that.
That's cool.
So that should help this coming summer if we have as much weather as we did this past summer.
well, I really,
Yeah, I should say too, it's difficult for me to walk into the Fort Myron Library anymore without being asked an astronomy question.
you're an expert.
Yeah. They really enjoyed our visit there in the Fort Myron area.
Well, I really appreciate everybody's feedback. And, if you have any other comments, let me know. You can send me, text message or an email note too. I'll take it.
I mean, you guys are all ambassadors to the club.
Yeah.
And sharing your experiences and excitement. And, that will bring people into the club too. And it's, just from my personal experiences coming out here with Terry and Eva. And it's just like, this is fun. I enjoy it. And that's why I'm here. It's just,
one of the things I forgot to mention, I think I forgot to mention it, but you can probably see it. Everybody loves to have their picture taken. And every time you have an observing session, you need to have a group picture. And, some of these NIABE sessions, we might have 100 people out there or more when we take a group picture. And then you throw that picture up on the TV screen and all the kids are running around. I want to see my picture,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, not only that, if people don't sign in,
Yeah,
to the attendee list, when you come, then you have a picture also to get a better idea how many people were there.
that's all fun stuff. If you're not enjoying yourself, you're not having fun, you shouldn't do it. This is a hobby. It's not a job. It's a hobby. It's fun. Should be fun and learning. It's a learning experience. It's educational for kids. These kids, who knows? Some of them will be astronauts, engineers, math teachers. I don't know. astronomers, some of them might even be astronomers. The other thing that you need to realize is when you're talking to these kids, some of them may end up going to Mars. Or landing on the moon, building a moon base. I'm not gonna do that, but kids, kids are that age that they're gonna grow up and be able to do those
There will
things.
be a lot of things coming up here in the next 2 years. We have an amazing number of things coming up on the space side, quite a few expeditions and other things coming up. There's a lot of information coming up. There's stuff we're finding from the Webb telescope that's out there, an amazing amount of information. 10 times what we had when we were kids,
Oh, yeah.
and it's so easy to get at. And now it's when we tell these people these are what we do and show them how to do it, it gets there at the UCS level. It really gets the motivated. And it could be anything that they go into, like you said. And they could literally be Martians in the future.
Oh, yeah. It's not that far away.
No.
Well, I think I'm about done. It took longer than I thought.
One that I'm thinking of is we were talking here too, and I don't think you mentioned it directly in there. And that is spread along the amateur astronomy news wherever you go in other places. An example of that. I'm also a member of the Black Hawk Hiking Club around here. And almost every hike that I have been on in the last 2 years, actually, since I started doing an occasional article for the newspaper, we, somewhere along the way on one of our hikes, we get into a discussion about astronomy. Usually, what was that planet I saw out there last time? Those kind of things. Well, Al's a member too, and has gotten into some of those kind of things, and also Rob McDonald, one of our members who Muscatine, we hiked down in his territory many times, and we've had a number of them come to NIABE sessions, and that's one other way to communicate who we are and what we're doing. I mean, one other comment there, you mentioned that Jack Horkheimer.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people know who he was.
Oh, yeah. Jack
But
Horkheimer.
in Columbus, Ohio, he had on the PBS station, that little weekly program about what's up. It was more detailed than what you see in the PBS Florida station here. Okay, yeah, I think that was the name of it, but that was very popular. So a lot of people in Columbus knew who he was. I don't know if that's the case here in the Quad Cities, because only a time or two, other than in astronomy magazines, have I heard his name mentioned here in the Quad Cities. So,
But the point that I would make about Astronomical League, I think we have gotten more benefit out of the Astronomical League than we've ever put into it. Although we were one of the founding clubs
yeah.
after World War II. I forget what year it was exactly, 1947 maybe or something like that, is when the organization actually got incorporated. And PAC was one of the 10 founding member clubs of the Astronomical League. So, very auspicious. But we've gotten more out of it,
We certainly have in the last few
all
years
the awards that we've got.
that I've been around.
And Horkheimer Youth Award, but occasional award down.
That's the result of your comment, that we've been one of the more active ones.
Yeah, the more active you are, the more you benefit. All right, well.
Okay,
that's
well, thank you.
hopefully,
Yeah.
that'll be a good talk.
Yeah, I was gonna mention something.
No tomatoes today. No tomatoes, lots of suggestions, Bill.
I should mention this, follow up on one thing Al mentioned, writing the newspaper articles, and I think I don't know if anybody saw it this morning. I know Paul did, he let us know, and it was in both the newspapers, although I noticed they cut out a couple paragraphs. And the interesting thing that I'm not sure how or why they did it, but I had observing the winter sky, Orion, and how you use Orion spell to follow that line out to look at the Pleiades. And they cut out the part about how to find the Pleiades, but they left the picture in of the Pleiades star cluster. So I've had actually comments already emailed and texted to me, people that haven't seen it and commented, at least they like the article. So I think that's a positive sign already. But anyway, I think we need to move on then. And okay, the next thing we normally do, and I don't know, we've had so much cloudy weather. Do we have any member observations this month to look at? We have a few minutes we could look at them here. I would like to start trying to wrap up these meetings about 8:40 to 8:45, so we have enough time. The last couple times we've been here and still cleaning up while they're trying to close the building down at 9 o'clock. So I'd like to end a little bit before that, but we have some time. Excuse me. Does anybody out there have observations to show tonight?
Byron, do you have any of your photographs you've taken with your new Canon 6D camera that you'd like to show?
I don't have anything I haven't already sent in. I'm still, I was out shooting last night, but I'm trying new methods of approach on that. So when I have those ready, probably by the next meeting.
Those were great photos to show off, I thought, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna try stacking and using Pix and Sight. So I got that Optilong Radian Triad Ultra filter, and I'm shooting from the backyard, and it's pretty impressive. There's hardly any city light pollution. It phases the moon out. I'm really thrilled with what's going on there. So I just have to now I'm going to try a free trial of Pix and Sight to see if I like it, because it's an expensive software, but it seems to do a phenomenal job on processing. So hopefully by next meeting, some of these pictures I've actually been able to sneak in out there when we do get a cloud break. I'll be able to show you then.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, thank you, Byron. Look forward to seeing some member observations from you at future meetings here. Okay, we have, as we talked about, we have many things coming up in the coming year. Of course, Moline talk, January 18th, and just a little over a week here. 2 more from Moline, and that's part of their project Next Generation. They have a grant to fund that, which means they are funding us too with some donations for providing these programs.
So is the club going to participate on the 18th of January?
Yes.
I mean, is the PAC going to be there?
No, we're not bringing PAC. It's wrapped up for the winter. They are aware of that. This is kind of a makeup for the 2 observing sessions that were canceled for weather in October and November and December, I guess. And
what time does it start?
I didn't put that. I think we'll have that probably online mentioned, but I believe it's 6 o'clock. And we will have an hour of programs. We may cut down a little bit on that if the weather is good enough to set up a telescope or 2 outside. Excuse me. And okay, as we mentioned before, John Deere Middle School has a school year program that we are supporting there, just having some people go over and talk with the visitors they have there, students and families and local people show up at that. We have 3 more. We don't have those scheduled yet, Kiwanee Central School has asked for an observing session. They would like to have that fairly early, March or April, I believe it said. Elina Wick definitely wants one, and we will probably schedule that in July. We're looking at maybe even having a larger group there this year. It's very popular out in that area. Silvis Library, I already mentioned, is coming up. They're having a big celebration. Riverdale Schools reminds me about that every time I walk into the library, which is coordinating with the schools on having the session. And if we have any luck, we'll have most of our 9 NIABE observing sessions this year. Let's hope for good weather on those 9 days. If it doesn't, we still have most of those should be available with the following Saturday as a possible rain date. Okay, what we may have coming up, and I don't have these firmly scheduled yet, but if talking to people about a program on tracking the space junk, historic telescopes of the Midwest. There's a group called Astronomers Without Borders, and there's several topics that I will be asking the Chicago Society for Space Studies about. They have supplied several of our speakers in the past and have some additional interesting programs in the future. I've asked specifically about one on Mars colonization. We've had some programs in the past on the rovers on Mars and various things. This is looking way into the future for colonization. I think there were some comments made about that already tonight. So we should have some interesting things. I just have to work out the schedules on when these people can be available. And of course, we will be having future sessions. I'd encourage everybody, if you have a favorite topic you'd like to talk about, put together a short smorgasbord talk about it. And in March, June, and September, we will have the meetings with the smorgasbord talks. We'll also have a brief business meeting at those dates too. Okay, I guess, are there any other announcements for tonight? Well, thank you everybody for participating. January 18th, I've talked with a few of you about participating and would like to see anybody show up. You can talk with the library's visitors that night and have a good discussion on astronomy and see what they're doing there. Next month, we meet on February 13th, and then we'll also be meeting on March 13th. So until then, keep looking up. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.